Okay, if you are navigating perimenopause or menopause or leading a team of people, this is a conversation you're going to want to hear. We know menopause doesn't begin and end at home. It comes to us at work, meetings, deadlines, and especially leadership roles. And I don't think we've talked enough about that. Yet until recently, it's been overlooked in the workplace. There's one company hoping to change all that. CVS Health. They're not only taking menopause seriously, they're setting a national standard. CVS Health is now a nationally accredited menopause-friendly employer, and they're helping other organizations do the exact same thing and showing what it looks like to truly support women's health across every stage of life. Joining me today is someone who has been instrumental in making that happen. Dr. Joanne Armstrong is a Chief Medical Officer at CVS Health, and I'm so excited to talk to her about how workplace culture is evolving, what it means to lead with care, and how women can take action wherever they are. Dr. Joanne, I am super excited about this conversation because I definitely think it's long overdue. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Really great to be here.
So I think for everyone who is meeting you for the first time, tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I am the Chief Medical Officer for Women's Health at CVS Health. I am a board certified and practicing OBGYN of 25 years. And I have always been interested in what access looks like and quality healthcare services look like for women. Just by way of background, I actually started with public health, epidemiology, population-based medicine, then went into medical school medicine. And I had this really extraordinary opportunity when I was a young physician to practice medicine for a short time in a developing country. And
Wow.
That's where I really saw like women hold up more than half the sky. Women are so crucial for the delivery of healthcare services for their family and their community. Different setting decades ago, but the same thing is true today. Women make 80% of healthcare decisions for their families, and they've got a lot of stuff coming at them at the same time that act as barriers. They'll always prioritize somebody else, but there are a lot of barriers. And one of those is stigma, discomfort about talking about some areas of women's healthcare services.
I know menopause doesn't just exist at home. I think we've realized how much it affects and impacts a workforce. What makes it a workplace issue, though, for people that might not understand that or haven't thought about that?
It's definitely a workforce issue. There are 27 million women who are menopaused age, it's about 20% of the working workforce, that are bringing what their midlife transition experience looks like to work. There's a really good expression that there's no pause in menopause, right? It's not a short-term thing you just get over. It's a life phase that can last, 14 years for some women. And it does not know when you're walking out the front door that you go into work and suddenly it's not an issue. So all of it, the whole experience comes into work. So symptomatology, 80% of women, experience this. A lot of women have challenges, completing all the responsibilities at work. It's estimated that about 1 in 7 women either leave the workforce or consider leaving it because the management is really just too challenging. And it translates into something like $2 billion of workforce productivity.
I think that number was shocking to hear the first time I heard that number.
Yeah, it's a huge number. And it's not just about those numbers. It's really about human potential, right? You think how long it takes to be good at anything, right? Could be 10, 15 years as a colleague, as an employee in your profession. And as you're just sort of getting it, you've got this another life stage that comes that sort of throws you off your game. And the symptoms can be really disruptive, poor sleep, cognitive differences, hot flashes, and then just a whole bunch of things that are not visible, but they are marching on as we go. So it's difficult. It sort of turns a lot of people sideways as you walk into the workforce. So it's definitely a workforce issue.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Well, let's talk about CVS Health because you all are supporting women experiencing menopause at work. And I know there's a lot that goes into that.
So we have a very long experience supporting women's health and holistic women's health across the life journey, across conditions, and really thinking about physical health, behavioral health, and really importantly, these social and environmental issues that affect women, stigma, cost of care, access to care, all the different ways that women need to access care because we're just so busy, right? Like we've got the list never ends, when I walk out the door. So when we thought about what the needs of midlife women are, we first looked at our own workforce. We have 300,000 colleagues, 70%, 70% are women. Right? And they are at all levels of the organization doing all sorts of jobs. And we recognize, the proportion of our colleagues that live in this space is really large. So we started looking at, what are the barriers? Training of, that the healthcare providers that are out there, right? Knowledge and the ability to talk about it, the ability of a manager in a workplace to understand what a colleague is saying. So just a range of things. So we started working on them one by one with the leadership of our own company, with lots of great sort of alignment and support. And then we used our own colleagues. Like we have very active colleague groups to say, what do you need? What is your experience? One of the things that came out of that is peer support and coaching. Like we need to have a conversation. So this is not a hidden thing. And so we have worked on each of those 4 pillars and put them all made them all available for our colleagues, including very good communication to say, hey, here's what's available to you. We did some work to make sure people understood it was available and use them, right? So you can be your healthiest person. And then that culminated in this, this recognition as being the first company in the U.S. to be a menopause accredited workplace, for which we are very proud, but we don't want to be the one or the few. This should be scaled across the country.
Well, what does it mean to be a nationally accredited menopause-friendly employer?
It means that you have put in place for colleagues, training for colleagues, right? So what is this about? Training for managers so they understand why this is a workforce issue, just about what we were talking about. Very concrete benefits, right? Are there actually providers, that you make available through your benefit structure, such that those providers are trained in menopause, truly trained in menopause? So we have brought in menopause clinics such as MIDI Health and Genève. We also brought the Menopause Society in to train our own nurse practitioners in our minute clinics. So, when they're having a conversation about poor sleep, it's like, is it menopause or is it sleep apnea? So one of those is training. The second one is benefits. Third one is peer support. Like, what do you do to keep the conversation going? And then there were a few other policies that were, specific to us that we addressed.
I guess there's a couple of sides to it. I think the one what can women do, right, in their own workplace to initiate conversations and get support, because that's not always easy. And then on the flip side of it, there is the leadership, right? If any people out there are leaders of businesses, how could they make sure that employees are supported?
So for the employee himself, and I'll say, herself and himself, right? These are also the partners of potentially female employees. So it really affects families, affects everybody. I think the key thing is knowledge, right? Knowledge does equal power. To understand what this is about. A lot of people have confused diagnoses. They don't know what it is. It takes a long time to get care. So knowing what it is, making sure you have access to that your employer provides that for you. And I think an environment in a workplace that you can speak up and say what your needs are and be able to ask, benefit leaders in your own company, like, what do you got? This is what I need. For employers, the leadership in companies, I think just recognizing the human capital, right? Our group, this age demographic is one of the demographic groups that's growing at the greatest rate, right? These are really critical people, the backbone of your workforce. And if you're not feeling well, you can't bring your whole physical self, your behavioral health self to work, it is a problem. So it's awareness of the leadership of companies, link it to very pragmatic things. This is what it looks like to do this well, and make sure people know that there is actually a strong business case here, right? You are trying to retain, attract talent, retain talent, help your workforce be happy, well, productive, all the things that businesses need to think about, right, in the workforce.
I think, there's also the big picture question, because I hear from a lot of women that are like, okay, I've got through, perimenopause, menopause, but it really does touch every aspect of our well-being, our health, what happens going forward. Do you have an approach to overall women's health past menopause? Because I think it's important to have a women's health strategy, a specific strategy for all women. And we don't think about it until we're right up against it.
really critical to have a whole strategy. And I think even the thinking like I'm going to get through menopause is missing the point. It's a
Hmm.
very long period of time.
Hmm.
When we talk about getting through it, we mean the symptoms, but underlying that is cardiovascular health, bone health, brain health, urogenital health. There's a lot of stuff that continues to the rest of our life. So it's really a mind shift about sort of solving a problem to thinking about holistic health. And for us, for CVS Health, we think of women's health holistically, right, across the life journey, from young girls to older women, um, and within, I would say, within conditions, but those are things that are exclusively female.
Right.
Menopause, at least right now, we think it's exclusively female. It's probably not, right? Um, but those conditions that are also disproportionately experienced by women. Many people don't think about that. Behavioral health, Alzheimer's, GI disorders, musculoskeletal issues, of which frozen shoulders and all those things contribute in menopause. These are
Hmm.
also dominantly women's health conditions. So thinking about holistically, even things that the public doesn't think of as women's health. And then a real crucial thing is addressing these social and environmental issues: cost, convenience, access. So what does innovation look like? Let's deliver the services digitally, telephonically, in retail health environments, because women are balancing, more than half the world, right, as they walk into a workplace. So that's how we think about it. And we do have a long commitment of sort of putting solutions, trying to understand it from an evidence-based perspective, and then creating them for all the people that we serve.
If there's somebody listening to this right now as we wrap up, what can CVS Health do to help other employers become menopause friendly employer? Because I think that that's something that, leaders want to know that there's somebody else that they can look to, right, for either a role model or for guidance. How can CVS Health help with that?
I think it's one, awareness, right? That there is a business case. It is, quote, the right thing to do because it's a large part of the population, right? And we should all benefits should be personalized and effective for whatever subset of the population you're doing. I think for an employer, they should first start with asking the question, what does it mean to have a women's health strategy? What are we actually talking about? What's the business case for doing this? Why should I do that? And then ask, like, who are you talking to, right? Are you talking to entities that can show you that, help you look at your own data to say, you see what you're missing, this is what it could look like. And then I would say working with companies that can help deliver these capabilities to you. It's very difficult to develop them de novo. It's much easier to say, hey, you guys are doing it, why don't you help? Let's adopt what we can into our environment. And maybe there are only a few minor things that you need to do, but
Exactly.
we in particular are just lifting it up, and we've got you, we've done it.
I love it. Dr. Joanne, thank you so much. I appreciate what you're doing. I know there's more to come, but it's wonderful to see you lead by example.
Great, and thank you. I got your book here with dog ears. You know,
Hey, good. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.